The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. When Jesus had finished all his words to the people, he entered Capernaum. A centurion there had a slave who was ill and about to die, and he was valuable to him. When he heard about Jesus, he sent elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and save the life of his slave. They approached Jesus and strongly urged him to come, saying, "He deserves to have you do this for him, for he loves our nation, and he built the synagogue for us." And Jesus went with them. But when he was only a short distance from the house, the centurion sent friends to him. "Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy to have you enter under my roof. Therefore, I did not consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a person subject to authority, with soldiers subject to me. I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes, and to another, 'Come here,' and he comes, and to my slave, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him. And turning, he said to the crowd following him, "I tell you, not even in Israel have I found such faith." When the messengers returned to the house, they found the slave in good health. The Gospel of the Lord. One of the difficulties facing St. Cornelius and St. Cyprian around 250 AD was a dispute between rigorists and laxists. In other words, there was a certain group of people who said, and remember, this was a time of persecution of the church, and there were a lot of Christians who were scared because their lives were threatened. And so they went and got papers that showed that they were faithful pagans, that they had offered sacrifice to the Roman gods. And then they repented and asked to be admitted back into the Christian community. And there was one faction that said, "No, once you leave, you're gone." Basically saying, "Go to hell." And another faction that said, "Oh, sure, come on back, no problems." And both St. Cyprian and St. Cornelius, as two of the very influential people, faced a schism, faced those who got people on their side to go to one of those extremes or the other. What, however, they said and decided for the church was, we have to have mercy. We have to have compassion. But there has to be conditions. And so the moderate position that they held was, yes, one who has fallen away can be admitted back, but they have to show a genuine conversion of heart by doing penance. In other words, they've got to put the struggles of their lives where their desires are. They have to show that, yes, this conversion isn't simply something of convenience, how nice it would be back now that there's peace, and let me have all the benefits of what it means to be a follower of Christ. No. They've got to be able to show that if the choice were to be given them again, that they would choose Christ, not to desert. And so the moderate position was, yes, come back, but you have to do penance. You can be admitted after a certain period of penance. Now that pretty much follows the example of Jesus himself, who, according to St. Paul, was a sign that God wills all people to be saved. That's what we heard in the first reading. But in this example that Jesus gives, where the slave was sick and he was asked to come and heal him, the position of Jesus is you have the faith. There's no particular litmus test, but rather you have the faith that God can do this, it will be done. So what we need to do is try to, in the events of our own lives, try to discover that course of moderation, avoiding the extremes that we see so much all around us, the extremes of what we sometimes call left and right, avoiding those extremes and seeking the path of moderation, because that is where the grace of God is to be found.